So next on the inspection and testing series on electrical equipment, we are going to be looking at the medium voltage and the high voltage vacuum circuit breaker. So in vacuum circuit breaker, the arc quenching medium is the vacuum. Okay, so between the contact in the vacuum bottle or capsule. So if you are not too familiar with the operations of the vacuum circuit breaker, you can check the description below for a link to a training on the operations of vacuum circuit breaker, understanding the operations of vacuum circuit breaker. So as usual, we are going to be looking at two basic inspection procedure or test on the vacuum circuit breaker. So we are going to be looking at the visual or physical test inspection, and then the electrical test as usual. So on the visual and mechanical inspection, as usual, we need to compare the nameplate information. Okay, this is the nameplate. We need to compare the nameplate information with what, this is the nameplate also, with what we have in our specification sheet or what we have in our drawings. Okay, so you look at the nameplate information, okay, and see that it is what we actually expect in that section of the circuit. So you can see the voltage, this is 12 kV. Okay, then you can see the current, the nominal current rating, which is about 630 amps. So we want to check out for all of this to see that what is actually specified for that part of the circuit is what we have in the circuit. So we can also use the drawing to see, okay, that what we have in the drawing is what we have on ground. Okay, they also want to look at the physical and mechanical condition to see that there are no visible sign of stress on the circuit breaker. There are no strain on any part. There are no bent parts on the circuit breaker. So we want to look thorough. That is, we want to look at the physical condition to see that they are okay. So the anchorage, the alignment, and the grounding system. So we want to see that the anchorage is firm to wherever it is anchored to. If it is wall to the floor, okay, we want to verify that it is firm. Then if we also want to look at the alignment, especially the circuit breaker that we are racking in. Okay, we want to be sure that it is properly aligned in the cell of the circuit breaker. So all the grounding connections around the circuit breaker or the switch jar housing the circuit breaker, we want to be sure that they are firm. Okay, so we also want to look at the circuit breaker to be sure that it is neat, free of debris, because dirt around these buses can actually short them, okay, and cause serious damage. So we want to be sure that they are clean. Everywhere around the circuit breaker is clean. So if there are debts, of course, we want to follow our company procedure or the recommendation, the procedure set out by the manufacturer of that particular circuit breaker to clean the circuit breaker up. We can use vacuum cleaner, low pressure blower, or low pressure vacuum cleaner also. Then we want to also circle the breaker to see that the breaker is opening and closing freely. Okay, so we'll do that in accordance with our company's procedure, or we can use the manufacturer's information, okay, what the manufacturer actually recommended to circle the breaker. So like we said earlier, we want to see that the breaker is properly aligned with the cell. There is a proper cell fit, okay. Then we want to also look at the racking mechanism, that the breaker will freely rack into the switch jar, okay, or rack into the cell and rack out of the cell also. So those are some of the things that we check physically.